My name is Rachel Carruthers, and I'm the newest member of the team here at the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. As the Regional Chamber's events manager, I look forward to taking the lead in planning and hosting our virtual and in-person events in conjunction with my colleague, Tommy Johnson, who has done an incredible job of doing so in the past. Tommy will be joining us this morning, and you'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Welcome to Growth Basics for Business, a monthly breakfast seminar series which provides a forum to gain useful do-it-yourself workplace solutions and insightful actionable tips. I want to thank Eaton Peabody Partners for their continued support for this virtual event series for the entire season. Today's topic, Unleashing the Power of Social Media Best Practices Unveiled, is presented by Paula Mahoney from Words at Work Marketing Solutions. How are you running your social media? Is it working the way you expected it to work? What if it could be even better? Paula will discuss a variety of important social media strategies and practices, the most effective ways to plan and manage your social media accounts, and the key things to avoid and what to expect. Like all the Chamber's virtual signature events, today's presentation is free and will be recorded. It will be made available for free replay on the Chamber's website and YouTube page. To keep up to date on all the Chamber's news and events, visit our website, portlandregion.com. Check out our events page and sign up for our weekly email newsletter while you're there. Before we get to today's program, I want to remind everyone that we are using StreamYard for this virtual event. This platform provides many improved production and interaction elements that really enhance virtual events. I'd also like to remind you that if you have questions for our presenter, please type them in the YouTube chat and they will be relayed to our presenter throughout the presentation. We'll also save time for Q&A at the conclusion of the event. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge our presenting sponsor for Growth Basics for Business, Eaton Peabody. For the past 6+ years, Eaton Peabody has been the presenting sponsor for this series, and they continue their support this season. Typically, we invite Eaton Peabody's marketing manager, Nate Levesque, to say a few words at this point. In his absence, I will happily introduce my colleague, Tommy Johnson, back to the stage to share a bit more about today's event sponsor.
Thanks, Rachel. You're doing a great job, by the way. They're never going to want me back, so keep up the good work. But I do want to tell you a little bit about Eaton Peabody. They are a full-service, Maine-based law firm with nearly 50 attorneys serving Maine clients from Augusta, Bangor, Ellsworth, and Portland. They assist companies of all sizes in a variety of industries, so whether you're an established financial institution, a small business taking the first steps, they can help you with your legal needs. To learn more about the services that they provide and the industries that they serve, please visit their website, eatonpeabody.com. Also, be sure to follow them on Facebook or LinkedIn to stay up to date on any legal updates and future presentations.
Thanks, Tommy. Now, I would like to introduce our presenter. With us today is Paula Mahoney, who is the president and fractional CMO of Words at Work. Paula has built a reputation for creating interesting yet simple concepts that deliver incredible results. Since its conception in 1993, Words at Work has been crafting engaging messages to help its clients dramatically improve their results through fully integrated marketing plans. Paula and her team believe that for organizations to succeed in today's ever-changing world, they must focus on genuine messages of value, benefit, and need. Social media is one marketing channel where messaging plays a major role. Paula is a valued member of the Portland Regional Chamber, a board member of the Portland Community Chamber, and board member of the Institute for Family-Owned Business. With that said, I'll hand the mic off to Paula. Paula, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you, Rachel. I think you guys did a little editing on that bio. I recognized a few extra words, but thank you very much to Rachel, Tommy, and Riley for getting me all set up this morning. And welcome, everybody. It's a little early down here on the waterfront, and it's a cloudy gray day, but I think we're going to have fun this morning. I was thrilled when the chamber asked me to present this, but it really gave me pause to recognize the fact that social media doesn't operate in a vacuum. So we're not just going to talk about social media this morning. But to begin with, we're going to focus on some really important aspects that hopefully will help you either feel better about what you're doing or help you improve things. Riley, can you get us to the first slide? So you might wonder what this has to do with social media. This has nothing to do with social media, but this is a really important tool in my my toolbox when I'm talking with a group or even with a client about how people respond differently to different images and different messages. And it's really important for us to recognize that as marketers. So sitting here this morning, I hope you can see it all. I'd like you to take a look at these different images, and Paula, you can point or wave to the camera when you want the slide switch. Okay, instead of verbally cueing. We'll see if I can remember to do that. Anyways, if you could take a look at all of these different images and pick the one that speaks to you this morning. Do me a favor, please, and just type into the chat which image here in this collage speaks to you today, right now, this morning, as we're getting going. And we'll just pause a couple of seconds while you do this. For me, this morning, it's got to be the dachshund because he always strikes me as really curious and engaging and interested in what I have to say. So he speaks to me this morning. Anybody else got something they particularly are resonating with? Are you on a rock between two hard places? Oh, the sunflower. Nice. Anybody else? The women working together. Thanks, Sheila. Frowning girl. All right. Yep. The dog. Aw. Yep. Puppy. Thanks, Q. That's great. You know, what I love about this collage is, oh, and the squirrel. I was hoping somebody would pick the squirrel. You know, I've had people pick the squirrel as just so many different iterations of what that squirrel could represent, from curious to aggressive to playful to, oh my gosh, it's going to eat my house. So it's just a really important reminder that even though we're looking at the same picture, it might speak to each of us differently. Riley, that's the next slide. Thanks. Here's what we're going to talk about today. You know, we get kind of myopic about our marketing easily, especially with so much going on all around us. So I thought we'd come back to some basics today, and we'd look at 5 things to do, 5 things to stop doing, talk about the differences between business to business and business to consumer. So B2B versus B2C. And how maybe that is a fine line or a gray area. And it might not be as clear as or distinct as we all think. I want to talk about brand voice because, you know, that's my jam. And I could talk about brand voice all day long. And then I really want to help us look at ROI and realistic expectations. I hear so often people saying, well, how am I going to show ROI for my social media? So we're really going to dig into that. And I think I have some evidence that you might not be doing so bad compared to some national brands. All right, so we're just going to jump right in. If you have a question, feel free to type it right into the chat. I'm going to pause periodically, and I'm happy to address questions. Riley will throw them up on the screen for me to see, and then we can talk about them. So don't hesitate to either throw out an example or ask a question, whatever is helpful for you to get the most out of this presentation. So the first, I hear this all the time. Sit down with clients, well, I'm not on Facebook, so why should my company be on Facebook? Or I know that Instagram is just for 13-year-olds, so That's not my market, so why should I be posting there? Well, you, your boss, the owner of the company, you are not your audience. And there's two important reasons for you to always remember why you are not your audience. You are an expert in your field. You are an expert about your company. You are an expert in what your company offers. So is the leadership of your company. Your online behavior or lack thereof is not reflective of your audience or your prospective audience. So even though you might not be a fan of social media, if your target audience is, you need to be there. And even if you think the information that your audience seems to want isn't meaningful to you or your boss or the leadership of your organization, you still need to post it because that's what your audience wants. Next slide, Riley. So what do? You test. And if there's only one thing that you take away today, this is what I would like it to be. Your marketing is an opportunity to be constantly testing. I'd love it to if the next time we bumped into one another, you told me about 2 or 3 tests that you were running in your marketing plan. It could be an A/B test in your email marketing. It could be a call to action test in your blogging. And it could very well be something that you're testing in your social media. Next slide, Riley. So you might not understand what I'm talking about. This is an example. And if you have a question, this would be a great time to ask it. I built this little content test as if I were opening a new bar, restaurant, or pub here in Greater Portland. And I wanted to get the word out how different we were. I would look at our social media posts. Granted, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm hoping we're so busy that no one has time to really look at our socials. So I want to get it all set up and running over the course of the week. And I want everyone to know what they can expect from us. So right out of the gate on Mondays, every Monday, I want it to be about specials. Tuesdays, we're different. We're going to cook different things. We're going to have specialty recipes that we've created. So on Tuesdays, we're going to pull a unique ingredient out of each of those recipes, and we're going to build social media posts around those interesting, unique ingredients and teach people what they can expect from the flavor profile. On Wednesdays, we're going to take those ingredients and we're going to drive them right into our favorite recipe. And that will be our post for Wednesday. And then by Thursday, we're all looking forward to the weekend. So what's our signature cocktail that we'll be serving this weekend? Maybe it has an interesting ingredient in that as well, or an interesting process. And so then on Friday, because we need a little bit of fun and relaxation, I'm going to focus on, have you ever wondered how we? So that will help us get backstage into the back of house, metaphorically, and show how we make the magic in our brand new restaurant. So this is what a content themed test could look like, because in a month, I can look at every Monday and see, did specials work better than Tuesday's interesting ingredients, or did the signature cocktail work best of all? Which one do you think is going to work? I'm going for the cocktail. Any questions? Riley, next slide. Oh my goodness, this is another one. You can exhaust yourself trying to be everything for everybody. And what I mean by that is, we all know we have diverse audiences on social media. Some people are there just because they like us and want to support us, but they're never going to be a customer. So speak to the audience that is the proper audience for you. Next slide, Riley. And be consistent with your voice. What I mean by that is stay on message. Don't try to talk to the fringe. Our social media for Words at Work, everybody wants me to be the grammar police and the apostrophe police, but that really isn't going to get us business. Sure, if you send me a text and ask me where to put the punctuation, I'll respond. But that's not going to be what drives our social media. Our social media needs to be about how we help clients grow. That's not necessarily where the apostrophes go, even though that is a pet peeve of mine. Next slide, Riley. Oh boy. Posting randomly, haphazardly. I know people have different feelings about scheduling posts in advance, and sometimes you can turn out sounding tone deaf, so you can't just set it and forget it. Riley, next slide. But you can be dependable. So back to my test, if I'm testing 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, be dependable about that. Be timely. Be reliable. If you're posting about something that someone's going to be able to get that day or that week, they need to know it in a timely manner. So if everybody's expecting to hear about my signature cocktail by 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, I need to remember that and build an audience around that so that I get the best result from my social media. Next slide, Riley. Thank you. Oh, right. Work from a schedule. How many times, and we have all fallen victim to this because we get busy, but remembering how many posts per week is really important. If you know that you have to increase the number of posts per week, build your frequency for a number of reasons. Maybe you're leading into opening. Maybe you're leading into an event. Maybe you're leading into an important product launch. Right now, we're leading into a really critical conference for one of our clients. So we have a number of posts. I think we actually have a number of posts every day right now, but we built into that gradually so that we wouldn't wear people out, and we layered them, and they're all planned for certain times of the day when we know we can get audience share. So be mindful of that. Build a plan, be dependable so that your audience knows what to expect from you. Next slide, please. Hashtags. Don't we love them? I used to love to make them up. It just seemed so fun. And then I really learned that I was abusing hashtags. I was a hashtag abuser. And I learned the power of hashtags. And now, even though once in a while I like making them up and having fun with them, because they can be kind of clever and they show your creativity. They can show your humor, your comedic style, but they're an important, powerful tool. Next slide, Riley. So a couple of things to remember. And again, we're in test mode. So testing hashtags is really important, and researching them to see who is using what hashtag already in your industry. And just because a hashtag is popular doesn't mean you want to use it. If you are just throwing out a hashtag because it's the number one, you're probably going to get lost in that hashtag. So mixing some unique hashtags that are artfully planned, that are tested, and combining those with hashtags that work for your industry. That's really the magic of hashtags. And I see we have a couple of questions. Throw them up there, Riley. How do you account for the variable of some days and times being more popular? Well, that's people. Thanks, Andy, for the question. People are variable, and we've done a lot of research based on the clients that we manage social media for, and you have to do your own to see when your audience seems to be available and have mind share for you. I like to plan around what I think is, especially if it's B2B, what seems to be people's behaviors, everybody checks their social media and their email pretty quickly after they wake up. You don't have to admit it, but I know it's happening. So having things out there at 6 in the morning is not a bad idea. And then, people might take a break from their workday, go get a second cup of coffee, check their social media again mid-morning, but I don't think you can necessarily rely upon that. So my next favorite time is in the noon window. People seem to check their socials again, either before they go to lunch or while they're at lunch or right after they're at lunch. You have to be mindful of time zones if you're using or if you're promoting to a more broadly spread out geographical audience. And, they're not all here in Maine or in New England. So you have to plan that in as well. And then, we're all scrolling through the evening. So again, thinking about when your audience is likely to be touching their socials, that's when you want to have your stuff out there. Does that answer, Andy? Specifically around testing different topics on different days. How can you show that the special, I love it. Or does your audience just love Wednesdays? Perfect. Over time, you'll see in your analytics which posts performed better. And if you suspect that special ingredients isn't the secret, then once you hone in on Wednesday and special ingredients, then you build another test on top of that. So testing, it's not a once and done. Testing is you're always trying to get better. And ultimately the goal would be that whatever you posted in that window, you would have tested it so well that it would get an immediate high reaction. So that's a great question, Andy. Thank you. Any others? Why should we pay attention to Facebook and Instagram suggested times? Well, why wouldn't we? Do you mean times that they're suggesting or times that you're seeing are popular? If it's what they're suggesting, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what those, honestly, I don't pay attention to that. We do our own analysis and plan things from there. Any other questions? Is daily too much? It depends on your audience and it depends on your content. So I'm following a physical therapist from England right now. He might be from Australia. Obviously, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that I love the stuff he posts. He posts multiple times a day. And I almost always read it all because the content is that valuable to me. So work on your content and you can engage your audience much more frequently. They learn pretty quickly, don't we all, that the content is valuable or it's got nothing for me. So I don't think daily is too much if the content is valuable. Test. Can you get which hashtags are helping you post your, can you get which hashtags are helping through insights? So when I do hashtag research, I don't do that research within the social media insights. I do that research outside of that. So I'm not sure if the insights will give you much about the specific hashtags. If somebody else in the audience knows something, I'd love to hear it. But that's what I do with the in order to figure out what hashtags are working or which ones we want to focus on. Any others? That was the last question. Okay, great. All right. Next I was going to ask this question, and maybe that relates back to Lisa Marie's question. Do you know where to research, how to research hashtags? If you don't, my solution is I do a Google search. And then I do two things. I do a Google search that tells me the top hashtags for that sector. Maybe it's for a product, maybe it's an industry sector. Could be what's the most popular hashtag for people who like signature cocktails. And so I take that list and then I actually research those hashtags to see what kind of posts are being written and how they're performing. If you want more about that, just hit me up afterwards. We can talk about it. I love hashtags are intriguing to me. Okay, next slide, Riley. Oh, staying in our own little universe. We're so comfortable in our own little space because people like us there and they tell us good things and they answer our questions and they take our surveys. And, our own little universe is a warm, cozy, wonderful place, but you're never going to get ROI. So you got to figure out how to get out of town. Next slide, Riley. Oh, I'm watching a cool boat outside the window. Come visit me here on the waterfront. Take a look out my window sometime. Targeted posts, again, going back to our content test, test for reaching new audiences. So we all know that our favorite Facebook and Instagram platforms do allow, and LinkedIn do allow some targeting based on audience demographics. I think we have some suggestions on the next slide, Riley. So don't feel like you're limited to the demographics that you learn about your audience from your socials and the insights there. Take what you know about your audience from your other marketing efforts outside of your socials. So you might know that your target audience is new parents who are trying to juggle work and home. And you might know from your other marketing that their top 3 needs are easy meals, someone to clean the house, and a great resource for diapers and how to meet new people. So you know that from your other marketing efforts, maybe from your survey work. How do you use that in your socials? Well, you build posts around them and then you boost them because you know that's what your marketplace is looking for outside of your social media. So your online audience might not be as refined a demographic as what you're looking for in your real marketing efforts. So use what you know from outside and push that into your socials and boost it. $100 can go a long way on social media. So don't be afraid, again, to test it. Next slide. All right. So I'm sorry this didn't render so well. Riley, what I'm seeing is a little overlappy. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, but we got all the good words. Anyways, B2B and B2C. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. There's a difference in your voice and there's a difference in your content. So if you're B2B, you really want to represent your thought leadership. You want to be professional. You might want to post about white papers that you have written that are on your website. You might want to take a more formal tone, and you're trying to educate your audience. I think inspire confidence and establish expertise. You want to be the subject matter expert within your industry. So that is really important to wrap your head around as you're creating content. So again, going back to the test, Your content might be very different looking than my little restaurant example. You might have a subject matter expert day. You might have an industry article day. You might want to cite a higher authority and give your opinion on how they present a case for whatever it is that that you're talking about. Again, whatever it is, you want to create a content calendar, stick to those themes, and test what your audience really responds to. Then, if you're B2C, that's the fun stuff. That's where you can be playful, you can be entertaining, you can be comedic, you can be heartfelt. There's a variety of emotions that you can bring forward in your content. But a B2C social media platform program is typically more conversational and engaging. You're trying to be relatable to your specific audience, not necessarily to the audience that has glommed onto you. I used to say to people, you know, when they would say to me, "Did you see that ad?" or "Did you see the Facebook post from such and such company?" I didn't get it. And my answer to that would be, well, you're not their audience. You're not who they're going after. And don't feel you have to be everything to everybody. You want to be relatable to the audience that is going to bring you more business and give you ROI. Okay, questions? I know we have a mixed audience here. We have some B2B and some B2C. What does it mean when you boost a post? What's the specific benefits? Okay, so that's back a couple slides, Riley. Boosting a post means you're paying. You're paying to have that platform push your post to a broader audience. And it doesn't take a lot of money. It can be a little complicated because you have to go into the ad manager or you have to set up other aspects of your business profile with the platform, but it can be done. And again, if you have questions, just ask. Are boosted posts less or authentic? You ignore them yourself. Well, some people do, but it's like pay-per-click. If nobody clicked on a pay-per-click ad, they wouldn't exist anymore. Personally, I never click on a pay-per-click ad unless I don't like the company. I shouldn't say that probably, but I don't want to cost money. That's a bad sentence. Anyways, I don't want someone to have to pay for my interest if I'm already interested in them. So I don't click on pay-per-click ads. There's probably a portion of people who won't click on boosted posts, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people who do. So I don't believe they're less authentic. Again, it comes down to your content creation. Make it authentic, and then people will click. Okay. Oh, don't move forward, Riley. Let's stay on. Let's talk voice. All right. How comfortable are you with what is the voice of your brand? Is the voice of your social media actually the voice of the person creating it? I do see that happen a lot. That's not the power of your brand. Your brand has a voice and it has a personality type. And if there was a second thing aside from testing that you left today with, I'd like it to be thinking about your brand voice. It is the most powerful asset your brand has. So spending time on it, articulating it, defining it, personifying it, and then getting everybody within the company on board with it. That can change the future of your marketing in so many ways. I've seen it happen countless times. I've had clients come to us and say, our brand needs to be updated. And when I ask them, well, what does your brand mean to you? They talk about their logo. And they haven't come to the realization that their logo isn't their brand. It's a physical representation of their brand, but it isn't the brand. Thinking about the personality of your brand is super important. So there are some questions you can ask yourself. Is it serious? Is it fun? Is your brand lighthearted? And your brand is the promise that you're making to your customer. What is going to be their experience when they engage with your brand? So, are they going to learn from you? Are they going to be entertained by you? Are they going to be helped by you? What are you promising to do for them? And then from there, how do you want to articulate your brand? And I like to think about it as a personality or an animal. We've worked with companies in the past. One of my favorites was their brand was personified as if Martha Stewart was your neighbor and you needed help with putting together your garden, you'd talk to her over the garden fence and she'd give you advice. She wouldn't do it for you, but she'd give you advice. Sometimes I've had clients where they personify their brand as their best friend's dad because he was always helpful, but never demanding or he was never punished. If you didn't take his advice, it was okay. Anyways, thinking about your brand as a voice is really going to help you in your socials. Next slide, Riley. We're going to look at some examples. All right. Riley, I didn't ask you about this. These links, I'd like to go to those if we can. Eeks, I should have asked you about that before. So Coca-Cola, we all know Coca-Cola. It's a B2C brand. So it's casual, conversational, relatable. Riley, can you bring us to can you click that link and bring us to Instagram? Shoot. I guess that might be a no. Is that a no? I should have asked for that. Darn it. Okay, well, that's going to change what we're doing right now. So if you, let's see, keep talking. I'm trying to get the link. Super. The link should be built into the PowerPoint. The Coca-Cola Instagram platform is super fun. And what you see is they've created a lot of activities, actually, to engage their audience. There was one where you make a coaster out of bottle caps. And that made me actually look in the grocery store to see if I could find glass Coke bottles anymore, because you were trying to make the coaster out of the metal bottle caps. And I realized, well, I guess I'll just make them out of beer caps instead of Coca-Cola caps. But they really do a great job of being fun and a little playful and engaging. And Riley, thank you, Riley, if you could scroll up just a tad and hover over a couple of these Instagram posts, what I want you to notice is the number of likes and the amount of engagement. So there's a lot of engagement here for Coca-Cola. No surprise, they have a huge following globally. Next slide, Riley. Riley's going to be jumping through some hoops here for the next few minutes. Nike, okay. Again, B2C brand, conversational, relatable. We all know the Nike swoosh. How many of us have said, just do it over the course of our lives? And again, Riley, with all of these, I'd like to try to get to their Instagram. and their brand voice. And this is a very cute video. I don't know if Riley's going to be able to do the audio. I'm really asking Riley to jump through hoops. But they have this line of baby shoes. You don't think of Nike as children's shoe wear, but they are all about helping people like you and me reach our physical fitness goals. And our goals start with walking. So this is brilliant. And it's filmed as if the mom is a newscaster, and she's, really just filming her kids or some kids playing. Maybe Nike has a daycare. Wouldn't that be cool? But again, they have a huge audience share, because they have a huge following. And they do get a lot of engagement. But if you look through, take a minute and look through their just basic Instagram page, you'll see that they have figured out that they post sneakers, they post famous people, and that's where they get their highest audience engagement. But if they post stories from average random people, it's a lower engagement. So they've done obviously some testing. And this baby film was a huge hit for them. So again, think about testing your content. Next slide, Riley. Oh gosh, we're okay. I think we're gonna make it. Dove. How many of you saw the Dove ad on the Super Bowl the other night? So Dove has really taken a stand on helping young girls feel better, and women feel better about themselves and their bodies. This ad campaign is about how many girls fall out of, give up on their athletic interests in their teenage years because of body shaming. And Dove is really working, and I think Dick's Sporting Goods as well, on a campaign to focus on that and support young girls in that in that aspect. This had blown up on their socials beforehand, and I'm sure that Super Bowl ad has really helped them. But again, they found a platform, a mission almost, and it's helping them sell soap and skincare. Again, testing, knowing their audience, understanding their audience, it's huge. Sheila, that's in there for you. Next one, Riley. All right, so MailChimp. We looked at B2B, and I said B2B needed to be typically formal or semi-formal, white papers, social subject matter expertise, and then there's MailChimp. So if you scroll down, Riley, a little bit, MailChimp's posts don't look like white papers and serious information, but they are subject matter experts. And if you roll over some of these posts, Riley, you're going to see interesting how low, relatively speaking, their engagement is compared to what we saw with the other brands. I wanted to put this in here on purpose. I wanted to talk about why this is B2B, yet looks like B2C. Does anybody have a guess? So since we're running out of time, I'm just going to tell you. My take is that MailChimp, their audience base is primarily small businesses. It's not the bigger businesses. It's not the Nikes and the Coca-Colas of the world. It's the Words at Work. It's the Portland Regional Chambers. It's the mom and pop businesses who might have a marketing team, but the owner might be doing a lot of the marketing. So they're very savvy in understanding that they have to use their socials as if they're speaking to individual consumers. Next slide, Riley. All right, any questions before we start talking about realistic expectations? Any questions on any of those that we just looked at for voice? Well, if you have any, pop them up as we're talking about this. I found it to be incredibly interesting to look at the engagements of a lot of national brands as I was researching examples for this presentation, because I always hear from clients or wannabe clients, we're not getting engagement on our social media. How do I know anybody's looking at it? I feel better about that now because it's hard to get engagement. So then you have to ask yourself, are eyeballs enough? I look at a lot of branded social media without clicking like, without commenting, without sharing. I might read what's there on screen. I might pause enough to watch the initial aspects of a video, but I don't always click. Is that helping any way? And so where's the magic? The next time your boss asks about, or you are asking your marketing people about ROI and why isn't there more, I want you to think about your overall social media plan. Next slide, Riley, because here's the magic. And I said at the beginning that social media can't live in a vacuum in your marketing plan. And to me, this is where it resides. It's part of a plan. It's part of bringing attention back to your website or back directly to a phone call or some other engagement. But it's not, it doesn't live in its own little world. So what we like to build, whether it's B2B or B2C, we like to build an engine. And it generally starts with a blog because we're all trying to get more traffic to our website. So if we start with a blog and we build all of our keywords into it, then we can use that to feed all sorts of other aspects of our marketing plan. So I know Magus is in here, and I don't know if I'm saying that. I've never known really how to pronounce that, but I know it's a fabulous place. And they have the Groton Inn in my hometown, which makes me so happy. So if I were the social media person, I would write a blog about maybe what's happening. Well, I'm going to use Groton, the Groton Inn. Maybe what makes Groton and that part of Massachusetts famous is Paul Revere's Ride and the Revolutionary War. So 119, which is where the inn sits, was theoretically part of Paul Revere's Ride. So I might write a blog post using all of the great keywords about what a fabulous spot that is to stay and for dining. And I might push that out on the hotel's website. And then I'd create all of these fun little social graphics leading up to April 18th, I think, or 19th, which is Patriots Day in Massachusetts. And then I might use an email list that we have from past clients, past guests, and send it out, pushing back to the blog. I'd obviously tease all of the social posts back to the blog so people could learn more. And then I probably would do a targeted digital campaign looking for people who are interested in early American history, who might live within a 100 or 200 mile radius of the inn. And then I would make sure that there's digital retargeting added to the website so that anybody who might click on any of those to get back to the blog is then going to see our digital ad for the next 30 days. So that's an example of how you can put your socials into a really productive part of a marketing plan. And again, I'm happy to talk to you about that if you want to talk about it in the future offline. Anybody have any questions? Because we're coming up on 5 of, and I want to get you all back to work on time. Questions? As for creating tests, if I were to post a static photo featuring a specific product and post a reel of that product at the same time, is that a test or just annoying to see twice in feed? You know, I think there are reel watchers, and I think there are post readers. And there might be a Venn diagram intersection between the two, but I don't think necessarily everybody does both. I would test it. I would so test it. Any other questions? Because I have one more slide. You guys get homework. If there's no other questions, Riley, let's get to the last one. All right, so I'd like you to write these down, and I'm happy to have the chamber share this PowerPoint with anyone here, or you can email me if you want to get it. I'd like you to go back to your, I mean, I'm not kidding on this. This is how you get your ROI out of this webinar and ROI for the last hour of listen to me babble on. But go back to your 5 most recent posts. Look at them for voice and theme. Are you on track, or have you gotten bored with staying in your lane? And so you're getting kind of a little crazy and you need to rein it in. Take a look at your hashtags, and are you researching them, or are you doing what my favorite thing used to be, making them up because they're clever and they're fun, and people laugh at them? Are you checking your frequency patterns? Are you on a routine? All of this stuff gets really tedious and boring if you're the one doing it, but that's what makes it magic. You have to get predictable. And then what was your most recent test? If your most recent test was 3 or 4 years ago, let's get to it. Test your landing pages, test your reel versus your static post. See which one works. And then if you still have questions, or if you found something, please let me know. I'm super curious about what your results might be. Any final questions before I give it back to Rachel? I'm talking so fast. Nobody? If there aren't any questions, then I'm going to just kick it right back over to Rachel. And there's all my contact information.
Sorry, guys. Thank you, Paula. Apparently I did not realize I was muted. I was enjoying your presentation so much. But yes, thank you again for such an incredible presentation. Lots of great engagement from our audience. And of course, thank you so much to my fellow chamber staff, Riley Legier and Tommy Johnson, for helping to produce yet another successful virtual event. Thank you again to each of you for attending today and throughout the year. If you're interested in continuing the conversation with Paula and learning more, be sure to check your email for a follow-up message with links to additional resources. Another shout out to our sponsors, our sponsor Eaton Peabody, for their support of the Growth Basics for Business series. We look forward to seeing you again on March 19th for the next Growth Basics for Business, which will continue this important conversation around social media, more specifically, utilizing LinkedIn to your brand's advantage. The Eaton Peabody Growth Basics for Business series is typically held on the third Tuesday of each month. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're tuning in from the Northeast, stay safe and warm during today's storm.